It's noon. You're standing in the Sahara 4,000 years ago. There is no shade for miles. The sand under your feet is hot enough to blister skin through leather. The air itself feels like it's pressing down on your skull. And here's the thing, everyone gets wrong about this moment. You are not about to die of heat. You are about to die of thirst, or of a very bad decision, because the heat alone doesn't kill you nearly as fast as the myths suggest. That's the misconception. We picture desert survival as some kind of endurance contest, a test of who can withstand the most suffering. Grit your teeth, push through the pain, outlast the sun. It's the Hollywood version. Some lone hero, cracked lips, staggering across the dunes on willpower alone. It's also almost completely wrong, because willpower doesn't lower your core temperature. Willpower doesn't replace lost sodium. Willpower has never once refilled a canteen. The desert doesn't care how tough you are. It only cares whether you understood the problem. The people who actually lived in deserts for thousands of years weren't tougher than us. They weren't biologically different. What they had was a system, a set of engineering solutions, refined generation after generation, that turned an environment actively trying to kill them into a place they could call home. Survival in the desert was never about brute force. It was about outsmarting physics. So let's break down the moves. Move 1, beat the clock. The first problem isn't heat, it's timing. The desert sun doesn't just burn you, it dehydrates you at a rate your body cannot always replace. A person walking under full desert sun can lose over a liter of water an hour through sweat. Do that for 6 hours, and you've lost more fluid than most people drink in 2 days. So the earliest desert cultures did something almost embarrassingly simple. They stopped moving during the day. Bedouin traders, Tuareg caravans, and sand hunters across the Kalahari all converged on the same basic rhythm. Travel and hard labor happened at dawn, at dusk, or under moonlight. Midday was for stillness, not laziness, strategy. If you can't fight the sun, don't show up to the fight. Think of it like scheduling around rush hour. You're not avoiding the city, you're avoiding the worst version of it. Desert peoples treated the sun the same way modern commuters treat traffic. Same destination, smarter timing. And it goes further than just resting. Early morning, before the sun climbs high enough to burn off the night's condensation, the desert briefly turns generous. Dew collects on stone, on low plants, on anything that cooled overnight. Some desert cultures, from the Negev to parts of the Atacama, learned to harvest that window deliberately, laying out smooth stones or woven mats to catch condensation before it evaporated. It's a tiny amount of water, sure. But in a place where every drop is rationed, a tiny amount collected for free, every single morning, adds up over a season. That's not a supplement. That's a strategy. Move 2. Build your own shade. Here's where it gets clever. Shade isn't just comfort, it's thermal engineering. Direct sun exposure can add 20 to 30 degrees Fahrenheit to how hot a surface, or a person, actually feels. That's not a small difference. That's the line between uncomfortable and dead in 6 hours. Ancient desert dwellings understood this instinctively, long before anyone had a word for thermal mass. Take the classic mud brick house of the Middle East and North Africa. Thick walls, small windows, flat or domed roofs. It looks primitive. It's actually a battery. Mud brick absorbs heat slowly during the day and releases it slowly at night. The wall acts like a thermal flywheel, smoothing out the temperature swings between scorching afternoons and freezing desert nights. Modern engineers call this thermal mass. Ancient builders just called it the way you build a house here, because anyone who built it wrong didn't last long enough to pass on bad advice. Compare that to a modern tent or a thin-walled cabin dropped into the same desert. No mass, no buffer. It swings from oven to freezer in 12 hours. The mud brick house barely notices the difference. Move 3. Dress for the job. This one trips people up constantly. Heavy robes in the desert seem insane. Why wear more clothes in the hottest place on earth? Because the robe isn't fighting the heat. It's managing it. Bedouin and Tuareg clothing is loose, flowing, and often multiple layers of breathable fabric, frequently dark on the outside. That dark color absorbs more solar radiation, sure, but the loose fit creates a layer of moving air between the fabric and the skin. That air gap acts like a cooling channel. Sweat evaporates into it, and the loose robe lets that evaporation actually happen instead of trapping moisture against the body. It's the same principle behind a modern car's heat shield or double-pane windows. You don't always block the heat directly. Sometimes you create a buffer zone and let physics do the rest. Meanwhile, exposed skin does the opposite. It absorbs radiation directly and loses water faster with no buffer at all. The heavy robe isn't overheating you. It's out-engineering you. Move 4. Outsource the hard part. The camel is, without exaggeration, one of the most efficient survival machines biology has ever produced. It can lose up to 25% of its body water and keep functioning normally, a level of dehydration that would kill a human several times over. Its body temperature is allowed to swing several degrees over the course of a day, rising in the heat instead of burning water to fight it, then shedding that heat for free once night falls. Its hump isn't a water tank, despite the myth. It's concentrated fat, an energy reserve that also happens to keep insulating heat away from the rest of the body. Desert cultures didn't invent the camel. They did something almost as impressive. They recognized a piece of pre-built survival technology walking around in front of them, and they domesticated it, bred it, and built entire economies around it. Caravans that crossed the Sahara weren't really human achievements alone. They were partnerships. The camel solved the water and heat problem. Move 5. Solve the water problem. Everything above buys time. But time only matters if you have water to spend it on. This is where desert cultures got genuinely ingenious. The qanat systems of ancient Persia are a good example. Underground channels, sometimes running for miles, carried water from mountain aquifers to desert settlements, all without a single drop of it evaporating in the sun because the entire system was buried underground. No pumps, no power source. Just gravity, precise engineering, and centuries of trial and error. In the Negev desert, ancient Nabateans built cisterns and channeled systems that captured the rare desert rains, directing runoff from hillsides into stone-lined storage. A downpour that happened once or twice a year could be stretched into year-round water supply because the infrastructure was built before the rain fell, not scrambled together after. This is the part people miss. Desert survival wasn't reactive, it was anticipatory. You didn't wait to be thirsty. You built the solution decades before the crisis, and you maintained it constantly. And maintained is doing a lot of work in that sentence. A qanat wasn't a one-time build. Digging one could take years, and keeping it running took generations. Vertical access shafts had to be cleared of collapsed earth. Channels had to be inspected for cracks. Entire specialized crews existed whose only job, generation after generation, was crawling through those tunnels, making sure the water kept moving. Some qanats built over 2,000 years ago are still functioning in Iran today. That's not luck. That's an unbroken chain of maintenance passed down so consistently that a piece of infrastructure outlived the empires that built it. Here's the deeper realization, the one that reframes everything you just heard. The desert didn't just test these cultures, it built them.